Hello Ram fan, my name is Jeff Garner and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Cleveland Rams Football with head coach Scott Riley. As always, I'm joined by the head coach of Cleveland Rams, Mr. Scott Riley. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Thanks,
appreciate it. First off, Coach, congratulations on the W this week. The Rams got off to a great start in their season opener on the road at Rolesville, winning by a score of 58-37. Definitely some mistakes, as you would expect in a Week 1 contest, but I thought overall, Coach, that it was just a solid performance all the way around to kick off the season.
Yeah, I thought it was a great job. You expect some bumps in the road and some things not to go smooth at Week 1, and we had those and learned from them. And particularly on special teams, first time we get to do those live. So hopefully, if this is the bottom of the road, we're going to have some good things happen this year.
Right. Well, to me, it was kind of a game of quarters and halves, as you would say. Minus, again, you already mentioned the kickoff return for the touchdown. Rolesville had that initial kickoff return for the touchdown. I thought Cleveland pretty much dominated the first quarter after that. Rolesville then seemed to get some momentum in that second quarter, but then second half, Coach, I mean, you guys came out storming that third quarter, second half, that kind of thing. Scored on your first 3 possessions, pretty much running away with it there in the second half. What changed for you in that second half? I'd love to hear that conversation at halftime, but yeah.
Well, I think it's more of what happened in the second quarter. I think outside the second quarter, the team played really well. It was a combination of things. We actually talked about as the week went on that we expected to jump out to a big league. So we're doing some things on defense and offense that we thought would take advantage of some of their scheme early. But they're a well-coached team, so we knew they were going to make adjustments and make that surge back. And we talked about how we're going to respond to that surge. And not as well. It took us a little bit longer. It took us to get in halftime to calm everybody down and pick their heads up and say, look, it feels like we're losing right now, but look at the scoreboard.
Yeah, exactly.
We're still winning, and we can control this game if we tackle better and limit the big play. And that's what they did, with the exception of the last big touchdown at the end of the game.
Well, on the bright side, or I guess the silver lining or whatever, again, not that you ever want to go down, a quick 6 there on that kickoff return or anything like that, but I think that kind of was a wake-up call a little bit too for the guys. I know you go in a little, pumped up in this first game, and you got the jitters, and then you get that 6, and it's like, oh, we got to play some ball here. And so I think the silver lining was that kind of woke them up a little bit, and then the same thing for that second quarter is like, hey, we got to have to play here. We got to step it up.
Right. Yep.
So I think they responded. Again, that's a good word. I think they responded well to the adversity when they were hit with it. Props to the defense. I thought that, the 2 big stories of the game, and we'll talk about them here in a second, but the first big story, I think, was turnovers. I think, Cleveland capitalized, many times on turnovers, had 6 forced fumbles by the defense, 2 interceptions. They had 3 sacks. The defense rose up.
Yeah, we had, overall, if you graded them out on each play, we graded out pretty well. The problem was we had 5 really bad plays. And we got to cut that out. But yeah, we set goals as far as yardage and turnovers and tackling and those kind of things each game on defense as well as offense. But we didn't get it done in the yardage or the tackling department as far as the goals we're trying to reach. But far exceeded that in the turnovers. And it's hard to lose a game when you create 8 turnovers.
Absolutely.
And we kind of throw the turnovers on downs in there too. So we had 2 of those on 4th downs where they either faked it or had a bad snap and forced the punter to run with it, and then we got a punt. So
a couple of extra point tries as well that we stopped them on.
Right, but if you factor in those 4th down stops, it's 10 turnovers where the offense has a short field, and it becomes easy to score 58 points when you got a short field like that. So a lot of good things scored on defense. Got to improve our tackling. They had 426 yards of offense, and 356 of it came on 5 plays. So their average per play is 10 yards, which is unacceptable.
Right.
But their median was like 0. So a lot of good plays, but we
got to get on those big ones.
Yeah, in high school you want to make them drive a long field, and hopefully they'll mess up enough on their own. So the tackling's got to be a big part of that. So not unusual for Week 1 to struggle in that department, but it's something we got to work on.
Right. Well, I thought the other big story, Coach, and again, not to single anybody out, we have a number of players that we'd like to talk about today, but I think going into the game was the play of your sophomore quarterback Darius Ocean. Again, not that we didn't think he would play well by any stretch. I know expectations were high. You put a lot of expectations on all your players, including your quarterback. But I thought he really rose to the occasion. 20 for 35, 268 yards passing. That's almost 8.8 yard average. 3 touchdowns on the day. Talk about the play of your young quarterback there, Coach.
Yeah, I thought Darius did a great job. It's what we expected him to do. I think there's, just like everybody else, there's areas where you can improve upon, but your first start on varsity, whether you're sophomore or junior, you're going to have some nerves and you're going to have some learning pains, and he had that. But to come out and throw for 268 yards in your first game is a good.
We'll take
3
it.
touchdowns.
Absolutely.
And the biggest key. It's not unusual for a quarterback to have a big game as far as yards and stats, but to have no turnovers is big.
A couple of plays, and we'll get to those. I've pulled up a couple of those. A couple of plays, he showed his athletic ability getting away from the rush, and I thought his poise. I thought he had just great poise on the day. A couple of overthrows. I mean, you're pumped up, all that kind of thing. You're not going to hit them all, but again, I thought he definitely rose again to the occasion on a first start out.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that timing stuff is going to get better as we go. Playing on the field had some wet spots, so sometimes the players were slipping and not getting down the field as far as they were when we're in practice. So a lot of that stuff is learned as we go through different conditions and those kind of things.
Well, on the ground, Coach, as expected, junior running back Tyson Dew was a beast. 29 carries for $185. That's almost 6.5 yards a carry. 2 touchdowns. Another impressive showing right out of the gate for your running back.
Yeah, did a great job for us. But if you throw his receiving in, he had 34 touches for 230 yards between the rushing and the throwing. So a lot of those were just extended handoffs. So great player for us last year, and it looks to be the same this year.
Absolutely. On the receiving end, Ocean was successful in spreading the ball around well with wide receiver John Barnes leading the way with 7 catches for 98 yards. Junior Caleb Scott with 5 for 89, 2 touchdowns. Was that the game plan to kind of spread the ball around, or was it simply Ocean, finding that open man?
Yeah, we tried not to go into a game and say we're going to get the ball to this guy, because then a lot of times that'll lead to turnover. You're trying to force it into places that the ball shouldn't go. So, Ocean did a great job of putting the ball where it needed to go based on his reads, and the players did a good job of catching the ball when it was their opportunity to do that. Obviously, we had more drops than we like, but first game, just like the tackling, is something that's learned and it'll improve.
Come.
But we got to throw the ball to where it's open. We got 4, 5, really capable receivers once everyone's healthy. So, anyone can score if they get the ball in their hands. So we trust them all to be there.
Back again to the defense, Coach. A lot of accolades to go around there. I already talked a little bit about it, but got to single out the play of your senior linebacker, Jonathan Kistner. 5 forced fumbles, 1 of them returned for a touchdown, which we'll see coming up in our highlights here. 7 tackles, 6 of them solo, 2 sacks. I mean, he was all over the field, Coach.
Yeah, great player for us. Has really improved each year. All our players, take a lot of pride in the weight room, and no one more than Kistner, and he takes a lot of pride in that, and you can see that when he makes tackles. It's a little more forceful than your average guy, and gets the ball to come out. Some of those were blindside sacks, and some of them were just getting his hands in there, very active. You can see his work over 4 years develop and starting to pay off this year. Paid off last year too, but really paid off in that first game, and I think you're going to see a lot of big games out of him this year.
Well, Rolesville, we can't take anything away from Rolesville. They certainly made some plays, as we've already mentioned, on offense, defense, special teams. What seemed to cause you the problems? I know you mentioned the big plays, but what seemed to cause the problems for you?
On they had fast. They were very fast, good speed, and they got the ball to those guys in space. Number 11 out there at receiver, they kind of isolate him. So he's over there by himself, and we trust him to cover, but you miss a tackle, and he's gone. So he had 2 big plays. I think a 75 and 80-yard touchdown. So, and then I thought both running backs that played, when they broke it, when they got everything schemed up right, and we missed the tackle in there, they had the ability to take it to the house.
They certainly did. Yeah.
So the speed and the broken tackles were the key. The same was it was no different on the opening kickoff touchdown. Everyone did their job. Missed a tackle on the edge. It's real important that contained guy makes that tackle.
Yeah, bring him inside.
Once it gets outside, the help breaks down. So, we got to improve on our part tackling, and and give them credit too. They had some good skill players and
Certainly
got them the ball in space. So we were going to kind of challenge them to hit us with the big play, and they accepted that challenge.
They did, yes.
In the second half, we kind of took away the big play and let them move us a little bit, and that seemed to be a little more effective in the second half as well.
Well, as we do each week, Coach, I've queued up some of the plays for us to take a look at. There were several to choose from, but I've picked a few here. So we'll jump out here to the first one. The first one here, Coach, we're in the first quarter. Roseville returns the opening kickoff for the touchdown, followed by a Cleveland turnover on the ensuing kickoff. But Cleveland on defense here, and we come up with our first of our turnovers.
Yeah, momentum's a powerful thing, and all things being equal, this might be the play of the game as far as everything's going Roseville's way at this point. They open kickoff for a touchdown, then they kick it off to us. We can't fall on the ball, and they get the ball right back here. I believe, next play, and Jonathan Kistner comes off the edge on a blitz, beats his tackle, and finishes through on the tackle. Everything we teach, and got the ball coming out, and we had good presence of mind to fall on it there. So, big turning, they had all the movement in the world going their direction. All of a sudden we create a violent turnover like that on a big hit on the quarterback, and now our guys are pumped up. We get the ball back and go down and score. So all the plays are important. There's not an unimportant play in a football game, but that one was a big turning point for us.
Still in the first quarter here, Coach. Roseville with the ball again on their very next possession. Here's the play by Kistner that we spoke about earlier.
Yeah, we had a run of turnovers here early. On the previous series, they ran the same play the other direction, and we practiced this play quite a bit. And this is his job to do on this play. And he got blocked the first time they ran it. We came and corrected it, and he learned from that, and we thought he'd make the tackle for a loss. We didn't expect him to knock the ball down,
take it to the house, skip the score.
Schematically there, he's unblocked to the play, so we wanted to make a big play on it, and he did.
All right, second quarter here again, Coach. I pulled this particular play, which showcases that athletic ability that we mentioned earlier from your sophomore quarterback, Darius Ocean. He brings that athleticism to the table here.
Yeah. He's very quick in a tight little space, more so than he's even fast. Not that he's slow, but he's got that quickness and change of direction. He's difficult to get to, and break and contain here, and then has the presence of mind to get it to his playmakers down the field.
And again, like I said, stayed on his feet. A presence of mind. Again, could have easily thrown it away here, but kept his eyes downfield. Like I said, and finds a receiver for the big gain there. All right, couple plays later, Coach. Still second quarter, without a doubt, I think the catch of the game by your junior wide receiver, Caleb Scott.
Yeah, good throw, good catch. I think he makes it more spectacular coach than he needed to if he catches it the first time right there, if he puts up both hands. But that's something we talked to him, but he does a good job of staying with it when he first bats it down. But good play, and he had another touchdown later in the game.
Yes, he did.
With a similar kind of bobble and then catch. So good player for us, and he's got good bloodlines.
I was going to say that seeing that Scott bloodline there doesn't hurt at all. So, all right, third quarter now, Coach. After a big kickoff return puts Cleveland deep in Roseville territory, fumble recovery in the end zone from the Rams. Yeah,
good read and good run by Darius until the end. Just thought he was Cam Newton for a second. Goes airborne, and the only obviously we didn't turn the ball over because we were able to fall on it, but the only time we put the ball on the ground on the day, so that's a good day, because I think we had 86 offensive plays. So when you have that many plays, you'd expect in game one to have a turnover, right, to be honest with you. But no interceptions and only one ball on the ground is a pretty good day. And luckily we were able to get on top of it.
Ready to cover that, absolutely. All right, still third quarter, second and short at the Roseville 31. Ocean finds Scott again for that second touchdown we talked about.
Yeah, so we mentioned it before. Had the mismatch with the linebacker on our receiver, and Darius recognized that and able to take advantage of it vertically.
Love the throw, love the catch. Again, little tip there at the end, but secured it. So, all right, ensuing kickoff now, Coach, and your special teams makes the play for you.
Yeah, so obviously we had a little trouble early in the game with the opening kickoff, and we saw a little void in the middle of the defense, and I believe we tried it earlier and didn't get it, and we felt like it was time to try again. And Hunter Baldwin does a great job of giving us a chance, getting the ball to go 10 yards. He's actually the first one down there too. Almost gets it himself. Ball squeaks out there behind the pile, which no one sees, and Jaquez Durham has the presence of mind to secure that and then give it to the ref. Because I think the refs thought the ball was still in that pile there. So good presence of mind, but a great effort out of Hunter Baldwin to get down there and to create that turnover. If he's not down there hustling in front of everybody else, we probably don't get that one.
And I know Coach Helms from Rolesville, a lot of controversy, I won't say controversy, but he definitely did not think, or at least I couldn't, I was not in his discussion, but he was trying to say that ball had not gone 10 yards before the recovery, and after the view here, you can see that it absolutely was 10 yards.
Right.
All right. Couple of plays later, Coach.
Good job. Good job of being there and taking advantage of the mistake. And sometimes, a lot of times, special teams, that's all it is taking care of that. They get a bad snap here. Punter fumbles it or bobbles it there. Janathan Coward comes through the line and gets a good lick there on the punter.
He certainly does.
And creates another turnover. Now, technically, it's not a turnover because it's a fourth down block kick, but to us, it's just as good as a turnover. We get the ball here in scoring range, inside the 10-yard line is just as good, if not better, than any kind of turnover. So, we keep a tabulation of that, and overall, we in our tabulations, it's a 10 turnover game with 8 conventional turnovers and 2 of these stops on fourth down. So.
And even though the punter, again, bad snap, that kind of thing. I mean, the rush, I'm not sure we didn't have that punt blocked anyway, without that. But again, just a great effort by the defense to come up there with that one.
Yep.
Purdue here, taking it in for the score.
Yeah. Obviously, Tyson has a good combination of speed. Saw a lot of that last year when he had big runs and great vision. But he's also developed well in the weight room, being able to finish his runs. And you see that here. He gets hit right at the goal line and is able to finish it through to the end zone. So, kind of added element to his game from last year to this year is the strength.
Okay, back over to the defense now again, Coach. Your junior cornerback, safety number 5, Traquan Harris, makes a great play for the interception.
Yeah, Traquan, good senior leader for us, great kid as far as work ethic and putting himself in the right position. And he's a jack of all trades, able to play corner and safety for us. Here he's in at safety. Does a great job of staying in our overs coverage. And then a lot of times, particularly in high school, guys get fixated on being over top of the player and not going to make a play on the ball. And this ball is probably overthrown. So if he's keying just on the player, this is just going to be incomplete. And he goes after it and makes the initiative for this ball to be his. So does a great job of getting over top there.
Absolutely. All right, next up, Coach, and I got to ask you about this, but next up, Coach, the player they call Grandpa gets on the board for you, junior running back number 10, Savon Hargrove.
Yeah, Savon's another good player for us. Gets lost in the limelight of Tyson sometimes, but this is his first varsity start moving up from JV as a junior this year. So good run. Tyson had a little cramping issue there, and he gets in at the end of the game and finishes a run.
All right, we finish up here with you, Coach, appropriately with the defense making another big hit, turnover to pretty much seal the win for you.
Yeah, another big turnover. They kind of busted one there, and it's wrapped up. We kind of teach, the first guy wrap up, the second guy come in to get the ball out, and Diego Carrasco, delivers a good shot in the upper body while Dakota has him wrapped up around the lower body and it gets the ball to come out there. So good physicality, and you're right, that put us up big at that point, and hopefully they scored later in the game, but it was in hand at that point.
All right, Coach. Well, appreciate that. Next up, by far, always my favorite segment of the show. You pick some weekly award winners for you. Who you got for us this week?
Yeah, offensive player of the game. We talked a lot about all these players already, but the offensive player of the game has to go to Tyson Dew this week with, I think 230 total yards in between receiving and rushing, and almost half of our offense.
Right.
That's a big part of what we do.
32, 34 carries, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, touches, I should say.
Almost 50% of the offense came from him, and that's the production we need from him this year. The defensive player of the game, we talked a lot about him, but Jonathan Kistner.
Absolutely.
With creating so many turnovers. We give him helmet stickers based on creating turnovers and things like that. And he got as many helmet stickers as most people get in the whole season. There's I think Coach Bozer said it best. He goes, I think I played my whole high school career. He's a pretty good high school player. He goes, I don't know if I created 5 turnovers, 5 forced fumbles my whole 4 years, and he did it in 1 quarter. So, he's clearly the defensive player of the game with, led the team in tackles, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, and scored on defense. So, pretty straightforward there.
Absolutely.
We're not going to do a special teams player of the week. We felt like, one unit doesn't grade out high enough. We're not going to single out one player in that regard. There's a lot of areas for improvement there.
Sure.
On kickoff.
Well, you always, again, you're never going to play the perfect game.
No.
You strive for that, but you're never going to play the perfect game. So the good, again, the silver line is you got stuff to work on. You got stuff to focus on and get better at.
Yep. That is the silver lining there.
Yep.
Our trenches player of the week, which is a lineman. A lot of times they're unsung heroes down there, and a lot of worthy opponents there because they're a big team, offensive and defensive line. But I thought we won the line of scrimmage, and that a lot of credit goes to both offensive and the defensive lines and their coaches. But the trenches player of the week is Cameron Whitmer. He's graded as the highest offensive lineman this week, and he's been a great leader for us now in his 3rd year starting at center. Kind of gets everything right up front, and he did a great job of staying with his block and getting downfield and getting to second level. Scout team player of the week also goes to an offensive lineman.
Awesome.
Craig Ransom, either starting right tackle. Yeah. Our guys scout for each other, so if you're a starter, you're not above being on the scout team. And he really takes it seriously. He gets after it now. We had, defensive coaches had a little extra meeting after one of the days because we were getting whipped up front on D-line. We were like, man, we're going to get beat if we do this, and it makes it easier then it turns out Craig was just that good.
Yeah.
More so than schematically we were wrong, and then we went out and played, and it made it easier on our D linemen because they'd already played against even better competition. So
gotcha.
Craig's motor when he's scouting is just as good as when he plays on Friday night.
That's great.
That really helps us defensively get prepared.
That's great.
We really appreciate that out of the linemen. Because it gets hot this time of year.
Yes, it does.
Big guys,
and it was hot there. I mean, we've been in hotter, but it was a hot one.
It was
on Friday night.
And then the program player of the week, we talked about him getting that interception. Traquan Harris.
Great.
Great player. This day and age, you have a lot of kids who don't get to start right out of they don't start on JV, so they quit, or they don't get the ball as much and they quit. And Traquan is someone that's gotten a little bit better all along the way. Really bought into our weight program and our speed program, run track, and done those things that we've asked him to do. And this year he's seen a lot of playing time, gets a big turnover for us, and does all those things outside of the football field to be great. So he's our program player of the week.
Fantastic. And that's one of the things that maybe we'll talk about in another edition. But Coach Stewart, Coach Capps, they man up our track teams, and they do a fantastic job. And I think that really pays off. I know we've got a lot of football players that have gone through the track team as well. Right. And I really think that pays off here in the football season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think nearly everybody that's on the football team and the football program that doesn't play baseball runs tracks. We like them to be involved in stuff in the spring, and track's a great way to not only to help out your school and participate in another school sport, but to get better for football too.
Now let's talk about the Rams' upcoming game this week. It's a big one. Rams host the Garner Trojans in week 2, and it's our home opener at Rams Field. The Rams have played the Trojans each of the last four years. 2 of those at home, 2 on the road. Have a 1-3 record against Garner in those over that span. The lone victory coming in 2012 at home, winning 45-44. Arguably, Coach, maybe one of the most memorable games in school history. You were assistant coach at that time. What sort of memories come to mind about that one?
Obviously, lot of excitement. A lot of chaos in the first half. Our headsets went out. I was usually in the press box, and the headsets didn't work that game, probably because there were so many people here. And we had a different system then, and the cell phones interfered with them. So there's so many people here. They went out, and so I was on the sideline. A lot of excitement. And it built that. I think we already had it, but it kind of built that lore that Cleveland never gives up. Because it was 35-17 at halftime, and came back and won the game 45-44, blocking an extra point and winning the game. So kind of built that lore a little bit. It was a very exciting game, but they've gotten the last three, so hopefully we're due for
absolutely
a new chapter in that series.
Well, the Trojans opened up last week, Coach, as you know, on the road at Clayton, and the Comets actually came away with that one, victory by a score of 35-14. Thoughts heading into this one, Coach?
You don't want to put too much stock in just one game, especially being an opening game. Now, Clayton looked like a formidable opponent, but we don't have to worry about them until late October. I wouldn't put too much stock in the fact that Garner's 0-1 coming in. They've been 0-1 coming in before. They usually played Middle Creek before they played us. So they've been in this situation before coming in. And Coach Leach over there at Garner always has his kids motivated, particularly after a loss.
Certainly.
Watching the film, they had a lot of penalties, had a lot of turnovers, which isn't uncommon for game one. But when you play a good team like Clayton, game one, it's hard to win when you have those penalties and those turnovers and those things. So that's something I'm sure they'll be harping on to correct, and hopefully we'll kind of force some of those mistakes as well this week, but we're not going to count on them making mistakes. We got to go out and earn the win for ourselves.
Well, the stat that kind of stuck out to me, again, you mentioned the turnovers and penalties, that kind of thing. Stat that kind of stuck out for me was, Garner's 61-yard rushing total for the game. Garner's always been known, for their strong rushing attack, but again, handed to Clayton, they were able to shut that attack down, limiting to only 61 yards on the night, no rushing touchdowns. Again, is that something that, again, it's an anomaly kind of thing? I don't want to take any credit away from Clayton. Obviously, they did a great job, but what is your thoughts there on the running game?
Yeah, you got to give credit to Clayton. They came to play and did a great job on run defense. I think you also look at everyone knows this from playing fantasy football. If you have a running back on a team that is not very good and they get behind early, it's hard to get a lot of stats out of them. So same's true, in high school football. If you get down early, you're not going to have as many rushing yards. I think they're definitely capable of running the ball, and that's what Garner does.
Absolutely.
That's what they do well. So I wouldn't put too much stock in one game and say, well, because if you look at the stats, they threw the ball more than they ran it. But you start the game down 28-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah, you got to kind of get away from that run.
You're going to throw it a little bit more. They are probably a little more balanced than they have been in the past as far as run-pass ratio. But I think they're more capable than 61 yards. In most given weeks, but they did play a great team, and the circumstances of the game dictated a lot of that as well.
Well, just like Cleveland, Garner's starting a sophomore quarterback this season too. Do the two compare to you, or how do they kind of compare?
Yeah, I think they're a lot alike. They're both talented. They both have real strong arms. Theirs is a little bigger, and ours is probably a little quicker. But they both throw the ball well, and they both big and learning on the fly.
All right. Well, regardless of last week's game, Coach, like I said, we know Garner's going to come in fired up, probably even more fired up, like I said, after the loss. But what's going to have your attention this week in prep for Coach Leach's Trojans coming in?
Well, they're always going to be well coached, always well prepared. They're consistent with what they do, and they do it well. They're not necessarily fancy, but I think that's by design, and it's a good design because they're sound in everything they do. So you're not going to be able to take advantage of them schematically or get a free touchdown with a wide open receiver. Everyone's going to be assigned to somebody, and they're going to do a good job in doing that. And they definitely will be more effective than they were the week previous. And they're going to have the coaches will have their attention this week.
Certainly.
But they're always a physical and effective team. So we'll have to strap up and be ready to go.
Be ready to roll. Okay, Ram fan. Well, there you have it. It's the home opener right here at Rams Field. It's with the boys from Garner coming to town. Kickoff 7:30. We absolutely need you to pack this house because Garner brings the Garner clan. They're going to come pack. They're going to come. They travel well. They're going to pack the house. So we need Ram fam in the house. So we'll certainly be there covering every play. We'll be right back here next week with coverage highlights of the game. Coach, thank you so much for your time again this week. Any final comments comments for us?
No, look forward to seeing everybody out in a packed house and putting on a good show hopefully on Friday night.
Let's blow the top off of this thing this week. So
we'll try.
Good luck to you.
Right,
Ram
you.
Fam, thanks a lot, and we'll see you next week.